Yeah. Look at this. It is Thursday. It is 9. It's UK Cowboys time. Season 4, episode 1.
I can see someone's got the excitement on the entire, but me, I'm absolutely sweating like hell right now.
Mike's got fresh batteries in.
Bloody Duracell bunny back there in Wales.
Yeah, that's it. They always say, come in high. Always come in high, level out, come back high again.
Are you sure are you talking about the same thing I would be talking about?
Probably. We do like the same things.
True.
How are we doing, Scottish fellas?
I think my attire tonight's actually kind of says how I'm feeling right now.
I know. Just for people on the audio, Paul is naked and Graham is in just a thong.
Oh dear. That's definitely going to lose us subscribers.
And that's how we start season 4. Naked.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
So anyway, Cowboys football.
Yeah. We finished the talk of people's attire. Let's get into it. So obviously we are into a pre-camp show because on Monday the Cowboys officially start their camp in Oxnard, which means Cowboys football is officially back.
It's been so long. Feels like it's been so long.
Yeah. It's been quite a long. I mean, like the off season. I like this one was kind of here, but if you remember the off season before when we were in the pandemic, do you remember how long that felt? Because like it seemed to be a bit longer than, and it's just like, oh my god, when is this going to end?
It's funny to go through a Cowboys off season and not have a major headline for the wrong reasons. Like to my knowledge, we haven't had a bad press release like our Texan cousins. So it's nice, I'm not gonna lie. Like we don't have a looming suspension over us or anything like that. We don't have any. I mean, I suppose the biggest blip is the Michael Gallup injury, and we'll see
the
how
injuries. Yeah. But I mean, all 32 teams are dealing with some sort of injury in some form or another, and if they aren't, they're extremely lucky. And the old ACL bug will soon catch up with them. So you don't have to worry. Yeah, it's the time of year for all of that. But go on, Paul.
I kind of mean to as we were. I think it was yourself, Mike. Like I think it was last week. We were talking about ACL injuries in general. They're not as severe as you would say 5-6 years ago because of the technology we have now to
the understanding.
And how to make things better, like better procedures, how to repair it, how to make it better. Like, I mean, I know we keep using Jalen as a prime example and stuff like that for his type of injury and stuff like that, but if the technology wasn't in there in the first place, he wouldn't have even been playing any football in the first place. So and that's kind of credit to just all the medical staff evolving their game and learning more about this particular injury and how to basically get players back on the field quicker and more fit and stronger, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, like I did hear that they did with. You remember where we were all asking the question with Michael Gallup, like, why are they taking so long to give him why is he waiting around? Turns out that was all premeditated. That was planned. Because it's something to do with some procedure or something that they were trialing and testing out to reduce the recovery time. That's why they're saying he's ahead of schedule. Apparently, I don't know how much truth is in that mind. I'm not a doctor, so right now I'm talking out my ass.
Yeah, I mean it's always going to be frustrating for fans when you think, right, okay, so the player does something on the Sunday. Why isn't he having surgery on the Monday? But sometimes it doesn't work out like that. Sometimes injuries need time to settle down, and like they obviously have fully qualified doctors who know the player's injury history inside out. So leave it to the professionals. If the Cowboys feel that this was the way to do it, then who are we to argue? Like it's not like it's a huge game of chicken where they're saying, how long can we leave Michael Gallup and still get him back the way we know Michael Gallup? They're doing it in his best interest. And Michael Gallup personally, he's not just going to sit back and let the Cowboys do whatever they like. It's his body, so he's obviously
to
agreeing
sit there
with
being
them.
in pain.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I mean, like you say, who are we to argue? We did argue it on this show. I can't remember who we had on. We had somebody on from the Cowboys over that side. We were asking, why is it taking them so long? And they were just like, I don't know. Turns out that was the reason why.
Was it not Brad Shambo?
It might have been. Could have been the old Shamster.
I don't know why our good friend Brad Sham, that's the one that rings a bell to me.
Yeah. We asked it, and even
we
then it was
back.
Yeah. Good. Somebody I know, one of the Ukis that watch us, with the very faithful. By the way, sending you quotes and comments. You are the co-hosts out there.
Well, before we go into it, we've actually got our first question for the evening. Matt from Empathy88. What game are you most looking forward to this season?
That's easy. The one I would say is the first one. Because I need football.
What about you, Graham?
It's got to be the Packers. I mean,
of course.
Just from a personal perspective, it's got to be.
Explain, Graham. Explain for the viewers.
For regular for people watching the show for the first time. My dad's a Packer, and that
doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I know. I was very, very unlucky to travel over to Lambeau to watch Matt Castle, because that was the year that Tony Romo broke his collarbone.
Yeah.
So that was a hell of a journey to watch a backup, but it was in one of the great stadiums in the NFL against one of the great franchises. So win, lose or draw, it was still a great visit. But certainly for bragging rights in my hometown, I'm certainly looking forward to the Packers game.
What about you, Paul?
Obviously the home opener that's against Tampa Bay, that should be interesting. But obviously I'm looking forward to the two games I'm going to be attending this year, which is the Texans game and also the Colts. So but
I mean, Texans, I mean, that's a game you'll take with a pinch of salt, but the Colts should be quite interesting.
I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued by that one.
I mean, they got Matty Ice now.
Yeah, they've got Matty Ice playing there, so interesting to see. But if I'm going to see something, if there's another game out there, I would actually say the Bears as well. The Bears would be an interesting one as well. See what they do.
Yeah, and obviously all the divisional games. That goes without saying.
Okay. Oh, and saying that, speaking about divisional games, did you see the fact? I know we don't like talking about our rivals and stuff like that, but has anyone seen the Giants throwback jersey, which is basically a Buffalo Bills jersey, essentially?
And on the collar, it's got.
Am I the only one that actually just noticed that it's a Bills jersey?
No.
It's like,
and it's got that once a giant, always a giant on the collar. And
I mean,
it's not Shakespeare, is it? You know?
Yeah, the commercial was cool because I had LT on it, I guess. But
whatever.
But
yes,
we got ourselves a nice new helmet.
Oh,
and that's like not in the sound in a very dirty way. I mean, we actually have a nice new
to go from Packers to helmet. Yeah.
You can see where this conversation is going right now, everyone. It's not going.
But to go back to the Giants line, Jason Garrett certainly switched sides often enough, so I'm not sure you are once always a Giant. I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah, I mean, it is great. I mean, we posted it on our social media just like half hour ago. So it's all, I do like it, the solid blue with the pure, that crystal white. There's a name for it, platinum white or whatever.
That with the whitewash jersey. That's got to look phenomenal.
Yeah, I wear my 17 Travis jersey for Thanksgiving because it's got the stars and everything.
Yeah, they're going to have to do the whitewash jersey, the all white and white bottoms as well. White.
I know what you're saying. Yeah,
like everything white.
Yeah. Rather than the inverse version. Yeah. I do like that one. You're right.
Yeah, that would look sick.
Yeah, and also, you can have a look to see how dirty everyone's jersey is, so you know who's on the ground the most.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it depends if you're playing on grass or not as well.
Yeah, well, not many of them are. Well, they'll be playing in their own stadium, and it's not grass.
Yeah, I mean, you'll still get marks in the jersey, but not as noticeable.
Yeah. But also, just in before we get into the show, we put a post out about who everyone thought is the best Cowboys player in the history of the Dallas Cowboys. Quite a lot of names out there. Comment right now who you think is the best Cowboys, and I'm going to ask these pair here who they think. Who is your most historical, greatest Cowboy in history then? And I'll start with Paul on this one.
Sorry, what'd you say there?
Who is the best Cowboys in the history of the Dallas Cowboys? Best player.
Sorry,
Or could be a coach. Could be a coach. Could even be Jerry if you want to go down that road.
I'm going to go out there. Like, these are the decisions. This is, if I was in this era of the Cowboys, this is who I would put. I would love to, like, this is a player I would love to see play live. It's Bob Lilly.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funnily enough, it's a name that came up a lot.
Yeah, that's the guy him, and obviously the monster, Mr. White back there, and obviously Roger Starbuck back there as well. So those guys I would love to see, but you can't really pick one. But I don't know. I really don't know.
Go on, Green. Give me yours.
It's Troy Aikman.
Straight in there, look.
It's Troy Aikman. I mean, tell me the last Cowboys quarterback. To simplify it, the last Cowboys quarterback who had that much impact. Now, fair enough, they had a first season was rough, isn't it always? Especially for a quarterback. But you can't argue with the 3 rings. At the end of each season, it's all about the ring, and I think in today's passing league, Troy Aikman would be up there still today. You can argue that he had Emmitt Smith and he had Irvin on the outside, but the Lamborghini doesn't go anywhere unless you've got a steering wheel. And Troy Aikman was
that's
the
a good
steering wheel.
analogy. I like that.
You've still got to put somebody on the center to orchestrate it all. You've still got to control. You've got to control the clock. Quarterback does that. Changes the line. Media spotlight. America's team. First round pick. It's always set up to fail whenever the Cowboys make that kind of choice. It's always set up to fail. Emmitt Smith's another good one. Not going to argue with that.
There's the correct answer. That's the correct answer.
I mean, in all fairness, Emmitt Smith is one of my all-time favorite players. But is there a player? But I'm thinking, is there a player where before I was even born, I would love to see play?
Yeah.
And that would have been Bob Lilly.
If I had to pick one player to watch before I was born, only because we've spoken to him quite a few times, is Drew Pearson.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, that's a fair shout. Big shout out to Big. Oh, DJ Dog just said it for it, and I do have his jersey in my closet right now.
Larry Allen is a good
Larry Allen, absolutely. There's just like I said, agreed, Patty. There's just so many names.
That was the point.
And that's there's no going to be a unanimous.
You can't have a wrong answer.
You can't have a wrong answer. Every player we've mentioned is pretty much Ring of Honor or Hall of Fame, like
record breaking
Cowboys legend.
Yeah,
the list goes on.
Oh yeah. So we'll do another one. We'll do. We did do one as well that Graham quite enjoyed. He found quite funny. I'm sorry about the noise outside. is DeMarcus Lawrence a top 10 defensive end?
Go on,
So I mean
Graham.
that
Go
was
on, Graham.
one.
This
But
is your take.
I
This
know,
is all
yeah.
you, baby. All you.
So in our like off-air chat, when things go up, things do get quite vocal. And Graham was a little vocal on this question when it went out. If you guys think he's a top 10 defensive end in the NFL, let us know. But what was your take, Graham? Tell us live on here right now. Why did you find that question? Should we call it suspect?
Well, let's just say I called it out with a GIF. Is it Mad Max? Is that the film?
Yeah,
that's bait.
Yeah.
That's bait. That's bait. So like, I knew that would Mike threw that into the chat just for me. I know that. I mean, top 10. It really it depends. It's a big question because it depends what you want from your defensive end. Do you want somebody that's going to set the edge and defend the run, or do you want a pass rusher? Now, purely down to stats, he's not a pass rusher.
No, that's why I said defensive end.
That's why it's so intriguing. That's why it changes the question. Yes. Is he top 10? Probably.
He's the number one run defender at the position.
Yeah. I mean, we can go on about his cap number all day long. If he sets the edge so that Micah Parsons or Sam Williams or any other gets so many good stats, then fine.
Yeah. It works.
I mean, the whole point was we were going to see Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence having a great season together until it fell apart at the last minute.
Yeah. Last minute.
Yeah, literally the last minute.
Well, they signed him at one point.
You've got 2 flights there, Randy. Which one are you getting on?
Can we not talk about Randy Gregory, please?
Oh,
Randy.
Is he to answer the post, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, he is. Don't ask me to place him, but yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere in there, depending how you want to move him about, but that's for sure.
All right. Randy Gregory's dead to me. That's where I stand on that.
Oh dear. Oh.
Heartbroken, man. Heartbroken.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, we've had more interaction with Sam Williams this week than we did Randy Gregory in his career with the Cowboys.
Yeah, and I hope he continues to prove me wrong. I really do.
I always like Sam Williams.
Yeah. I noticed that. I noticed you put that into the mix, mate. Right.
Hey, when have I ever said? Listen.
That's me. That's me I'm talking about. Me.
Right.
You said it in the chat.
I'm criticizing myself.
Right. I get you. My bad.
Right. So let's get into some camp talk then, guys, because we are officially, the guys are going to be packing their bags over the next couple of days. We're going to watch David Hellman trip off the bus again with any luck.
No, well, he's
not with the team. Yeah, he'd be traveling with Fox, isn't it? He's with.
Yeah, Fox, and I think Jeff Kavanagh managed to get a flight over as well through one of the networks as well.
Right.
And
we'll get on to Jeff's case then.
Yeah. So we'll speak to him.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. We'll get the inside scoop on all of them. But here's a question for you before we get into some camp talk, because I got quite a lot of questions lined up for this. But let's start here, right at the very top, with Mike McCarthy. So basically, my question is, because there's a lot of talk about what happens beyond this season with Mike McCarthy, but what does he need to do? What's the minimum set standard for Mike McCarthy in order to keep his job beyond this season? So at the end of the season, he needs this to keep his job. Go. Let us know at home, too.
What do you do, Graham?
I would say that he needs to win the division.
Yeah.
And I would say he needs at least 2 playoff wins. So whether that be the wild card round or the divisional round or both.
And to get to the championship.
because
yeah,
go for it, Paul.
I was going to say I think reaching NFC Championship is the bit minimum.
I think so too.
Yep,
I think the pressure's on him.
Yep,
because there's two ways you can look at it. You can go, well, his team made the playoffs, but how many years did the Bengals make the playoffs before they changed things and went to the Super Bowl? So I'm not so sure making the playoffs keeps you your job anymore. As mental as that sounds,
that's true.
Teams would kill for the playoff runs that we've had. I mean, was it yourself, Mike, that put up the stat that the Lions have had three playoff wins for how long? I think it was
70 years.
Yeah, it's like, see, when you think we're spoiled in Dallas, but if you don't improve season on season, you're not moving forward. And if you're not moving forward, then you're not moving to the big ticket, and the big ticket is the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you always want to be going upward. Yeah, I see what you say. So, I mean, my argument to this is that he had an extremely good roster last season. One of the, not just at the top, but in depth. This year, it's kind of like the top of the roster, which we'll talk about in a moment as we get into camp battles. But the top of the roster is fine, but the depth is bad. So then you look at that, you think, well, how far is he going to get into the playoffs without depth when he had that and the top of the roster last season, and he made the playoffs? And it was an in and out job. In order for him to keep his job, I think he needs to go one better. So he needs to win that first playoff game, no matter what it is. The next game, then, expectations are going to be, just as high, but what happens from there is anyone's guess. I just think that with the depth, he's going to struggle. Go on, sorry, Paul.
So, I think it really does depend who we're playing up against.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Like if you take last season, for example, right, we should have won against San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
On paper.
We beat ourselves.
The only thing we had to stop was stop Debo. That was the only thing we really had to do. But for some reason, we just couldn't really do it. And obviously,
they beat themselves.
We beat ourselves in that game, and you've got Trent Richardson there is now rated 98 for Madden this year, which is an absolute freaking joke. I'm sorry, but anyway,
I don't worry about Madden.
I know, but it's anyway. But you get the point. No, it's whereas this year, depending who we get in the wild card, if it's a team that's just lucky to get into the wild card, whereas us we been designated by it because we're not in the top seed, then we should have very high expectations to wipe this team, whoever it is in the wild card who's just passed by, if we win our division, right? So, but it depends who the next game is. We might end up against Green Bay, so it's going to be a close game. So you expect to say, that's when you need to think about, okay, can we do this? It really is a flip of a coin, depending who we get, really.
So here's my next question, and then we're going to get into some camp talk then, because this is all leading to it. So don't worry, it is going somewhere. So in order for Mike McCarthy to succeed this season, we'll talk about most important player to him in order to do this. Now, most people are going to say Dak, right? Literally 99% of teams in the NFL, when you say who's the most important player on your roster, they're going to say quarterback. So we'll discount Dak for this question. Who is, for you guys, the most important player on this roster to help Mike McCarthy succeed? Do you want mine? And I'll let you, while you guys have a think.
No, I'll start, in. I'm going to go with Micah Parsons.
Yeah. That's one of the names I have. Yeah.
With the downgrade in Randy Gregory, I think Parsons has become. I mean, Parsons might be a top 3 player on our team. To be perfectly honest, I think he has so much importance to that defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on, Paul. Go on.
I agree with the analysis of that, definitely. It just really depends on how Sam Williams develops, to see become that number 2 defensive end for our team to help get left to become that edge rusher that we picked him in the second round. And this is why I've been so critical about it. So, and this is why I'm hoping to eat some humble pie over this whole scenario when it comes to this draft pick. But if it's for me, I'm definitely looking more. I think this year, so what was the actual question specifically?
The most important player to help Mike McCarthy succeed this season. So, as rightly, one of the names I've got, like Graham said, is Micah Parsons. Back position is thin, plus the talent.
Right, I'm going to go completely off ball. I'm going to say Zeke this year. For this year,
yeah,
because
the ground and pound.
Well, yeah, and the way how we're seeing it during minicamp, we're seeing it during OTAs. What Kellen Moore's trying to achieve here. He's trying to do different things with the offense, and it is kind of complementing more for Zeke in a way for that type of style of play he does. So hopefully, and now we've got a fully fit offensive line with the addition of Tyler Smith alongside with Tyrone Smith on the left-hand side. Hopefully that can increase that running yardage and rushing yards and actually kind of take the edge off and actually make the more wide receiver core a bit more unpredictable as well. So that's always been our biggest downfall. We were just too predictable in some scenarios.
Yeah, no, I agree. Getting lopsided. Another name I'm going to throw out there when you think about it, right? So think about the depth of the position, what we need from this guy, and what we're hoping he can become to succeed. CeeDee Lamb. I just think that he's going to be extremely vital. They're going to be feeding him targets like no one's business.
See, I don't know what it is, but I've got my doubts about CD. I really do. I just don't know why. I just can't point my finger. It's just a feeling where I just don't see him being that true number 1 wide receiver yet. Like, again, I just hope he completely slaps my face and says, "I told you so." I hope that's the case. But
I mean, like,
I don't know what it is, Mike. I think it just seems a bit. He had Cooper, there, who was predominantly our number 1.
Yeah.
He's breaking routes. There's no doubt in my mind that CeeDee Lamb is a special talent. His catching ability can be absolutely phenomenal, and his route running is improving. But and I'm not being very negative. I'm being realistic. I don't want to put fairy dust on everything tonight. You know what I mean? So
I just think, well, you highlighted one of the reasons really why we haven't seen, because there's games where CeeDee Lamb's on like 2 targets for a game, but to me, that's more telling about how the Cowboys were trying to distribute the ball when you've got the likes of Amari Cooper, Schultz, Gallup. You had Cedric Wilson, which is really going to be Simi Fehoko with the way things are going, which we'll talk about. Yeah. So they're trying to distribute the ball a lot. So, but now when you think about how the wide receiver core is, it's really funneling towards CeeDee Lamb. So he's going to be really important, especially early in the season. I think that CeeDee Lamb's going to be extremely vital to how successful they become. But right then, guys, let's talk about some camp battles then. And I thought we'd go through each position. Tell me what you think, who the camp battles are you're going to watch. Then we're going to player watch, just some players who you are going to watch and the reasons behind it. I've got a couple. But let's start off, first of all, guys, quarterback, the backup quarterback position. Now, I'm doing a post on this tomorrow, a little article that we do every now and then. Tell me who your backup quarterback, this battle is going to go, if you like. Because for me, the argument is always, if you lose your quarterback one, your season's done anyway. But we have seen, a stint, if you like, without Dak last season. Came with a success with Cooper Rush. But can the Cowboys make a push with Will Grier? Or do you think they're only going to go with 2 quarterbacks and Will Grier is going to sort of fizzle out?
Well, it looks as if Dak Prescott's going to win the job. So...
Really?
Yeah, Mike, just what you said. If I'm of that opinion, I mean, other than them winning that Super Bowl the one time once a couple of years ago that everyone's forgotten about, if 4 goes down, you can pretty much, as Elsa says, just let it go.
I mean, like some people, Gray, will talk about when you say is it DiNucci or Greer. Some people say, well, what about Ben DiNucci? But to me, I'm kind of at this stage, I'm not holding out much hope. I've ticked that box off.
Cooper Rush is too much for Ben DiNucci to beat out. Like he was always going to be the wild card. He was always going to be the Tony Romo guy that everybody forgot about. It was the last pick in the 7th round to stop teams picking up the phone hours later. Basically, in my opinion, it was to bring in a competition. I think it's Cooper Rush's job to lose. Greer might make the practice squad. DiNucci, I don't think will be around very long. I think it's the most set position on the team. I think.
Yeah. Cooper, I mean, like it's pretty easy to say at this stage. It's Dak, it's Cooper Rush. The battle really is Greer DiNucci.
Yeah. I mean, did they go with 3?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Well, do you think they'll go with 3 this year, Paul?
No, I don't think they will. I think they'll go with 2.
I think so too. I think there's too many important other positions where they need to carry the extra.
I mean, keep a third on the practice squad. They're not going to be queuing up to sign Ben DiNucci. That nobody's going to be banging on the door. Can we get your 4th-string QB? They'll pull somebody off the street.
I think.
Rather than
no! It's happened before with other teams. Take Cleveland Brown. They picked up a fisherman after the bloody and absolute run amok against us.
Mahi man.
Yeah. But I mean, I do see if they are going to put anyone into the practice squad, it's going to be the one, and the other one's walking. They're packing their bags and going. The only problem we've got between the two is obviously DiNucci is a draft pick. So they've got that level of investment and trying to prove themselves right. Will Greer's a free agent, but which direction do you go? It's really, I think you're going to have to keep an eye on it to figure out where it's going to go.
I think Greer might actually have an advantage, because he's got a more similar style to how Dak plays in a way.
Yeah.
Whereas DiNucci, I don't know. Right. It's a tough one. All
right, let's move to the running back position. Do you guys think, right, here's a question for you. Do you think in the camp battles, the running back battle right now is between Zeke and Pollard? Or is it the 3rd running back position?
It's the same it's been for a long time. Zeke and Pollard.
Yeah, that's the battle right now.
I mean, just now that we've moved into running back, you've really got to feel sorry for Zeke Elliott this season. I think people are going to look at the cap number and expect 3,500 yards, 27 touchdowns and, 3 passing touchdowns. And the bottom line is it's not that cap number is not Zeke Elliott's fault. That cap number is the result of the Dallas Cowboys have restructured Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott has received a restructure from the Dallas Cowboys. It's backed up, and now it's coming home to roost.
So we're talking about Zeke's contract, right?
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to say this one more time. See if it wasn't for Todd Gurley. Remember that player who played for the Rams? If it wasn't for Todd Gurley and his idiot agent and the LA Rams, which I think in a way, you know what? It's actually smart from the Rams in a way because they increased the cap and it actually forced other players to say, oh, I won that amount of money because I am better than that player. And all the other teams are now in panic mode. So I don't know, it's pure stupidity or genius from the Rams that actually offered Todd Gurley that amount of money and actually forced our hand to give Ezekiel Elliott saying, hold on a minute, I've gained more better rushing yards than Todd Gurley. I'm injury free more than Todd Gurley. Why is he getting paid so much money? I deserve more than that.
Yeah. I think personally the battle right now to watch in camp with Zeke and Pollard is more the usage. Are they going to be using a bit more 20/21 man personnel, putting Pollard in and Zeke in together, maybe putting Pollard or even Zeke into motion into like a slot, moving things that way, or having them both in the backfield is like, that kind of like that full house formation that we've seen back in the 90s where you got the two running backs stood in the backfield with a very heavy run. But I don't know, that for me, rather than for me the battle isn't who's going to be the number one running back, because I think that's established. It's more, how are they using Pollard? Are they going to be bringing Pollard in more on third down, perhaps? I don't know.
I like Mendoza's comment. I think the running back room set for the most part. Zeke and Tony Pollard are going to be the duo, and Rico. Is it, how do you pronounce his surname? Doodle. Yeah. He'll be running back number 3. Like, you could, like, before Hardy got cut, I would have thought he made the push maybe to even challenge for running back number 3, but
the only issue I've got with the running back 3 position is, do they take a third running back when clearly they're going to be trying to enforce a fullback role, because they've got 2 on the roster.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you mention it. I know, regards to fullback, but I'm just kind of wondering, like, I don't know if you guys seen it, but have you seen the amount of mass that Tony Pollard has put on this offseason?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he looks massive in comparison to before. So I don't know if he's going to be expecting to kind of be more of, like, to take on the different roles, like even potentially in a fullback scenario when you've got him and Zeke running on the field at the same time. Who knows? Like we just need to find out during preseason how we're going to do things, or even during scrimmage first. So it'll be interesting.
See, this is Pollard's contract year.
Yeah, this is a big year, massive year for him.
Him putting on the weight, like you say, Paul, I think it's basically him trying to make a play to be a 3-down back. Because that was always the slant on him. You can't do the dirty stuff, you can't pass protect. That's where putting on the weight comes from, and he's playing for another contract.
Absolutely,
playing second fiddle. I don't know if it's going to be in Pollard's best interest. So it's an interesting one, because you've got Zeke Elliott making $1 million a game this year, and you've got Tony Pollard making $1 million in the season. That's how split it is. And the pressure's all on Zeke. The papers, the TV coverage, NFL Network, they're going to be like, this guy's making so much money and he's contributing X when he should be contributing Y. And I don't see it being good enough. I don't think.
Sorry, Graham. This is a great comment from DJ Dog. Since the loss of Amari Cooper, Pollard will get utilized more in that offset loss of Cooper. That, when you really putting that together, that makes sense.
And especially early in the season when you're missing Gallup.
Yeah, and just to go back to Benny's comment, it's like he does need more carries, but who knows? He could be getting more catches. And he is entering in his prime right now. So
but I mean that's why I was saying perhaps maybe you'll have Zeke on early downs and Zeke on third down. The camp preseason will be the space where we get to see if what direction they're going to go with Tony on that road.
Absolutely.
All right, let's look at wide receiver then, guys, because the running back position can get a very what's the word I'm looking for? Discussive. So, what would you say is the camp battle to watch? Right, I'll give you 2 options. Is it James Washington versus Jalen Tolbert, or Simi Fehoko versus TJ Vasher?
Simi Fehoko, TJ Vasher.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
For pure depth questions.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about it then, Paul. Talk to me about both. What you're looking for?
Well, for me, they're likely going to be wide receiver 4 when you really put it in perspective.
Once players all become healthy again.
Yeah. In hindsight, It really does come down to how much of these guys can actually contribute, not just in the wide receiver, but they're likely to be utilized within special teams as well. So that's the big one, is how is Bowen's going to utilize these wide receivers into the special teams as well? Who's going to pick up things the most? That might give them the nod to be wide receiver 4 because of how they're impacting on special teams.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. And I mean, like, I'm really watching to see who does most consistent between them pair, because they both have issues with consistency. And I think the one that comes out more consistent is going to be more likely. But, you said Vasha versus Fehoko as well, Gray. I mean, what's your take on these pair? What are you going to be watching for on both?
Well, I said that because Jalen Tolbert starts day one.
You think?
When
you think about it, Mike, I'm just looking at the depth chart right now. Yep. Lamb's questionable, Washington's questionable, Gallup's questionable, Noah Brown's questionable.
Yeah,
I mean, I think when you consider the state that the Cowboys' offense was in the day before the draft, a 3rd round draft pick this year starts.
I think he starts.
I reckon. I mean. You came up with a camp battle of him versus James Washington. I'm not so convinced that. I mean,
you don't think though that perhaps Jalen Tolbert, quite raw, he's a rookie. James Washington, he's played in the NFL, so he's a known commodity in what he can do in his skill set at this level. So what I'm thinking is, does camp help separate those two to find out what you've got in your wide receiver 2, certainly for games 1 to 3 till Michael Gallup's back? I do think, personally, Tolbert will take over James Washington eventually, but I just think that early in the season, James Washington is that he's played in the NFL. We know what he is. So do you take that at a game where you really need known commodities and to know what you've got until Tolbert can find his way in the league and know the playbook and the plays and working with Dak? Is that somewhere where you go?
It's amazing how much difference a year makes.
Yeah, I know.
Like this time last year, we were sitting going, Cooper 1, Michael Gallup 2, CeeDee Lamb in the slot. Let's go. And that was it. Team 40 burger. Now we're going, does our 3rd round raw talent start? I mean, it's quite depressing.
Yeah. I mean, we were doing posts last year ranking wide receiver cores, and Cowboys was like 1/2.
Yeah.
They're not even in the mix.
A year later, we traded away 1. 2 might start in October,
November.
Let's face it, once he's might start in October, and we're questioning whether CeeDee Lamb's the number 1.
We can't help ourselves.
I know. No, how can you not find the game romantic?
Oh, I know. To bring it back down to earth, I think, like I said, a 3rd round receiver at the moment starts. I don't know. I would consider Noah Brown our 4th receiver. James Washington, again, picked up from the discount bin.
He does have a certain skill set, mind. James Washington is extremely helpful in the NFL. I think with Washington as well, he was a little buried in the depth chart over there. When you think of the wide receivers in Pittsburgh too, and the way that they all started having these 1-year wonder blasts, James Washington was just a forgotten man. And I think, that's why he was cut and lost.
Let's be honest here. Like, did we expect Michael Gallup to have the start when he came into he was a 3rd round pick as well. Yeah. Like Gallup he came in and he came in. Yeah. So I mean,
it's well seen Andy's not on tonight, because Andy would be fighting James Washington's corner.
It's hard. It's really a hard one. I think it's a toss up right now. But I think in due course, you would expect to see Tolbert be that, number 3.
I do think, with Michael Gallup, I do think that, that to start off with, for like that safety blanket, they're going to go with Washington first, unless Talbot blows it out in camp and the preseason games and the dress rehearsal game. Really going to see Washington start till Talbot begins to take over, till he comes up to speed. That's my personal opinion, but that's what we're talking about camp battles for, is that it's those two at the moment head to head. Who comes ahead through camp and preseason is the one that gets the wide receiver 2 role till Gallup comes back and Talbot develops.
I mean, if I was to put the three of them in a nutshell, I would say Jalen Talbot's the ascending player with the small injury history. Noah Brown, he's the classic 400 or 500 yards, 4 touchdowns kind of guy. Yeah. I think we know that by now. Yeah. And James Washington has been there and done that. So,
but again, a 500-yard type guy.
Yeah. And
but in fairness,
he's the experience.
Yeah,
he has the experience. I'll give you that.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the much coveted position we spoke about most during the offseason, the offensive line. So here we go, right? Here are your camp battles, right? And if you've got different ones, let me know. Inside offensive line, Tyler Smith versus Connor McGovern. We'll circle back to that if you're shaking your head and at home about that one. See, there are reasons. We'll circle back to it. Offensive tackle, I'm looking at swing tackle, right? So at the moment, I think Josh Ball is pretty much going to be getting that kind of role. We'll see what happens in camp. But I'm watching Let's Go versus Isaac Alarcon.
Yeah, I like that. I like that
battle.
That's
and then
a good one.
And for center, it's Biadish Farniok.
In fairness, though, Mike, I think Alarcon will be moved inside to guard, personally.
He's a bit big.
Well, isn't guard supposed to be big?
I mean, like, tall. I mean, how tall is he? I don't want my tackles too tall. Is he going to be on your list?
That's just your preference, though. Like, honestly, like...
He's not on your listed.
Alarcon is more born to be an offensive guard. Like, he's got more to... Like, for him...
He's nearly 6'8". You want that as a guard?
How big was Larry Allen back in the day?
He wasn't 6'8".
But he was massive.
Oh, man, that's a lot. Like I say, I think it's gonna be Josh Ball, Alarcon, and Let's Go fighting it out. You want Alarcon, as we've spoken before, he's the feel-good story, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? That everyone is rooting for him. They want him to do well. But on the back of that, you got Let's Go as a draft pick who we've spoken about and had that crazy, the numbers.
Yes, Kevin Gogan big. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about, DG Dog. Exactly.
I would much prefer to see him on the edge, on the outside as a tackle. But as you say, that's personal preference. But I do think the camp battle for who is picking that spot right now is because after this season, Isaac Alarcon is no longer eligible on the international.
Yeah, it's either that. It's either he needs to be
make the roster,
the roster, or play for another team.
Yeah, basically.
If he wants to continue his NFL career now, because I think I think it's 3 years is the max you can use him for regards to the NFL international program. So
that's right. Yeah. So he's really up on his time, and then you've got Waletzko coming up here. So that battle will determine on who's around.
Matt Waletzko is the guy I'm really excited to see how we're going to utilize in camp
because of his RAS score.
Because Trevor's RAC score, yeah. But also, and I'm going to throw this back at you, Mike, and
go on,
and yourself. I'm very interested to see how the backup center role is going to happen. Alec Lindstrom.
Yeah,
that's the guy I'm very interested in.
So you think because you've got the three, you've got James Empey, you've got Alec Lindstrom, and you've got Matt Farniok. And all three of those really are playing for
and you've got and there's Braylon Jones as well.
Yeah, Braylon Jones. Yeah. I mean, he's really the outsider on that one. But for me, in terms of camp battles, I think it's those three. Farniok is the closest that they've got. Like, he could push for a Biadish spot.
Yeah.
But what goes on beyond that is a massive battle. That one will be crazy to watch.
What's just crazy just now for the center position here is the depth chart on ESPN right now. It's Biadish, Jones, Dennis Lindstrom, Dennis Empey. If it was me, Lindstrom will be second string easily. If not, but I mean, I think Lindstrom has a good shot of actually like putting some, like, getting his name out there and actually tries a star within that offensive line. Just depends. It all depends if he can actually communicate well with Dak. Depends on the snap, and that's one thing that like Biadish has had problems with is the snapping for Dak.
Yeah, my trouble with Lindstrom is that he's just really light in the pants. Really light. That's his trouble. Just easily moved. So, I mean, these are, like we say, the camp battles. I agree with you. It's an interesting battle to watch. What goes on with the centers all day. Because Farniok could make a push for Biadish's role.
Absolutely. Just like DJ Dodge just mentioned, Farniok had a good game last season against the Eagles.
Yeah, he did. And, we know what Biadish was at the start of the season, which was and at the end of the season it was getting better. But how much do you want to employ time into that to find out what you've got when you've got these guys waiting in the wind?
Yep.
It's an interesting battle to watch.
It goes without saying that centers the focal point, because you've now got 3 first-round picks again on that offensive line, and you've got Terrence Steele, who you. I mean, you moved on from Collins to play Steele, so those 4 start without question, obviously. And it's I'm going to agree with Paul. I think I would love to see Lindstrom unsettle Biadish. I think
we just need more. We need more competition. I think that's the main word. It's like compete, pretty much.
Yeah,
we didn't feel good about Biadish. We didn't feel comfortable, and if Dak doesn't feel comfortable with his center, then that can go through the whole offense. I mean, if the protection doesn't get set right, doesn't matter how good the slant route is. If Dak can't get the ball out, then it's so important. And that's why we had the discussion: should it be a center? Should it be? But obviously the Ravens stepped in, blew that out of the water. So, I want to see what Lindstrom can do. Like you're saying, Mike, he's light. He's light, and when you're coming up against guys like the Eagles have, who I don't know if you saw today, the Eagles. Madden have rated the 2 Eagles linemen in the top 10 in terms of strength.
Yeah, but look at the defensive lines in the NFC East. When you talk
I was just about to say that, like, we've probably got the most strong defensive linemen all across, up against.
Yeah,
like our offensive line is going to have a hard game every divisional game.
Divisionally, 100%. And like, do you want to rest your laurels, like to Graham's point, on a guy who's light in the pants? Because these defensive lines, it's not so much the power that it's not so much the speed they put on them. They're powerful defensive linemen. They're power men.
Especially what's his face from Georgia, Jordan Davis.
Yeah, Jordan Davis. A good example. But look at the Washington defensive line.
Chase Young.
All powerful guys.
Yep.
I mean, there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse than your pocket collapsing from the middle every single play, because it's tough to avoid that.
Well,
and it's demoralizing too. It's demoralizing, and
hopefully, like I know we keep saying, like, we know that Tyler Smith, not to get confused, he is going to be playing guard. We know that, but in the future outcome is he is going to get pushed back out. So whether this is just going to be a one-off year of him playing guard, and maybe next year look into more of a guard position, we'll see. But it's going to be a tough year. for our O-line,
Yeah.
regardless.
I agree. I mean, let's switch it the other way then, right? Tell me on defensive end if you've got a different battle. You got go on. Sorry.
I was going to say we haven't done tight ends yet.
Do you want to do tight ends?
Yeah, might as well.
All right then.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think battle for that really is. I think it's some people are going to say tight end 2 is Sean McEwen. I'm not so sure, but
Jake Ferguson.
yeah, you've got a battle really between 3 tight ends.
Yeah,
when you think about it.
Yeah,
you've got McEwen, Ferguson, Sprinkle.
Yeah,
who's going to come out on top? There is really the thing.
Yeah,
and I don't think, because we know Dalton Schultz is what he is and what he isn't. He is the tight end one, and they're paying him as such because he's playing on the tag. So really, what you're looking for from your tight end 2 really is blocking skills. And what's crazy is when you look at it, McEwen, Ferguson, Sprinkle, that's what they all specialize in. So it's going to be, I think, who stands out the most in the passing game, which is what you need to watch in camp.
And I think Ferguson's that guy. He does stand. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, McEwen has that ability as well. He scored that touchdown early against the in the Raiders game last year. Like, he showed some of his skill in the catching game. He's
a nice big target.
Yeah, but like Ferguson, you've seen his college film and stuff like that for Wisconsin. He's prone to kind of be quite diverse as well, but like you said, it's like his main strong goal is actually the run block.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is really for all these tight, and that's what you're looking for, because your tight end 2 really is coming in as 12-man packages. You can try and mix it up by making them the route if you like, if you wanted to go down that road, but mostly they're there for blocking assignment. So what I'm looking at is these guys, because I know people will say, well, what about Peyton Hendershot? I think he could make the practice squad, but he's got a long way to go. He's got a lot.
Yeah, practice squad.
Yeah, he's got quite a bit to work on in terms of he's the inverse, so he's got a lot to work on his blocking. So I think that's a 3-way tie, because again, like we said at the start of the show, it's not the top of the roster where this team's good, because the top of the rosters, the starting 11 are great on offense and defense. It's the backup guys, it's the next 22 guys where you're just like, it's the depth, like we said. So I think tight end 2 is really up for grabs, and it's going to be who's the best pass catcher, because in terms of blocking, they're all pretty much level pegging. So should we go for defensive end? Tell me if you guys have a different battle, and at home as well. If you've got a different battle you're watching on defensive end. For me, I've put down Dante Fowler versus Dorrance Armstrong.
Yeah, that's a fair one.
Who's starting on the other side? So Dante Fowler is that complete unknown. Which Fowler are you getting? Are you getting the journeyman who's bossed around from team to team, had one good season, or is he going to be that first round talent that we?
I'm gonna argue with that battle, to be honest.
If you got a different one,
I think it could be a 3-way
with Sam Williams.
Nope, not Sam Williams.
Okay,
even Basham. His name could,
that's a good one.
Name could be so. I mean, we know Sam Williams eventually will look to be that number 2 guy.
Permanent,
but whether it's this season, I don't think it will. But he will be playing bit part like as the season progresses. I think that's how Dan Quinn did that with some players this year. I think that will be the case for Sam. Who knows? He might be number 2. We just don't know yet. But
exactly.
But it'll be very interesting to see. Like, you've got Dante Fowler, you've got Talal Basham, Dorrance Armstrong, Sam Williams, and don't forget Chancey Golston as well. That's an name.
This is I've kind of left Golston out because I've used him for the inside defensive line. Because I think
because he's put on the weight. He's becoming more that Tyrone Crawford.
The in and out guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So because I tell you what, let's go there then, right? Because the defensive end, I agree with you. It is a 3-way tie. You can't forget about Basham. Fowler really is the guy you're going to be watching, because you're going to be like, we getting first round guy. We're getting the guy who's just bounced from team to team. Dorrance Armstrong, the Cowboys just don't want to give up on him. It seems to be like he's going to have a mediocre game, and the Cowboys will blow him up. They'll be like, look how good Dorrance Armstrong done today. And you're like, 2 tackles. And you're like, yeah, it's amazing. You're like, All right, then. That seems how it be. It just seems to be the way it is with Darren Side. They do not want him to fail. And I got to be honest with you, I don't want him to fail. He is a really nice guy, and he's interacted with us. So as soon as you do that, you instantly become one of our friends. But yeah, let's see how that goes. Now, inside defensive line, right? Tell me which way you would pick the best camp battle to watch, right? So the nose tackle position, Bahana versus Ridgway.
Yes.
Your guy.
Big GL.
Or, yeah, the other one, we just mentioned one guy, which was obviously Chauncey Golston. And the other guy, so Chauncey Golston versus Gallimore.
No, I would say Golston versus Tristan Hill would be quite
Tristan
interesting.
Hill is that would be interesting, yeah, because you've got Osa and Gallimore really as your two starting defensive tackles who are very, very different in terms of style.
You could say Watkins as well.
Watkins is in the too.
So,
go on, what are you going with?
Right. So for me right now, it would be
Bahana Ridgway. Don't forget Bahana Ridgway.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the one battle I'll be very paying close attention to. But when you're talking about the main starters for like the 3 tech and 1 tech rule, rather than being a proper nose tackle.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Like to me, it's going to be Gallimore, and if Osa has a good, like he's looking great shape, it'd be day two. It'd be day two as your starters.
Yeah.
But
what's behind them is the battle.
Yeah. I think Carlos Watkins will definitely be the next guy up.
Yeah.
But it's from number 3 onwards.
Yeah. The depth question again.
Yes.
Yeah.
So whether it's Hill, then you've got Buana.
Hill is really, literally, I think for Hill, this camp, beyond any other camps he's had in the past,
he has to stand out.
He does.
I don't think
he could have his walking, because remember, don't forget, this coaching staff aren't beholden to him. They did not draft Hill. It was the previous team, the previous management. No. So you think that
Marion Elliott drafted him essentially?
Marinelli, yeah, with Jason Garrett. So if this team decided to move on from Hill because he doesn't give exactly what you want during camp, he's gone. So Hill very much could be gone before the season started. He could not be on your 53. Yeah. So that's a major battle he's got. It's a massive battle he's got on his hands.
He's played 18 games in his career.
Yeah, I know.
18 games. He's recorded half a sack. For a second round pick. I'm sorry, he's a dud.
So far, right?
I mean, what we need to do is release him. Somebody else will pick him up, and then he'll go and win a Super Bowl with them. That's normally what happens.
Bloody tackle Charlton, anyone?
Yeah. I mean, we seem to have the same.
It doesn't finish there, Paul.
We seem to have the same conversation about Tristan Hill and Dorrance Armstrong. Can this be their year? Is this going to be their year? Are they going to get the opportunity?
It's every year, right? We say this.
Groundhog Day. Would you not rather move on from these guys and start playing people like Bahana, Odigizua, Ridgway? Would you not rather see what we've got in them? I would go that way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's a very tricky one with the defense, because I can't see them carrying a great amount. They're going to carry 5 perhaps.
5 defensive tackles,
which is
because
but they may carry more if it's with Hill.
I don't think they'll carry more because they'll have the hybrid with Golston.
Yeah, that's the only stopping off point.
You're going to have 5 proper defensive tackles. Full-time defensive tackles. You're going to have maybe 2 hybrids that are defensive ends to move inside,
like Carlos Watkins.
Carlos Watkins can move slightly outside as well if he wants to. But he won't be. He's not a proper defensive end, but he'll be there. But he'll be there as a run stuffer for the edge.
Definitely.
So, I mean, at least if you keep 5, at least you've got them fresh. You may not have a Pro Bowler in there, but at least they're fresh.
Yeah. The Cowboys play an even front more than anything, so you need to rotate your defensive linemen in those formations. All right, let's go to the linebacker position, because this could get quite tasty. Now, I got one in particular I'm going to go with, and I can give you my reasons why. My two linebackers, and give your own if you want, like if Jabril Cox is in there, because I'm sure he is. But mine is, I know some people will say Story Jackson, but my two is Devin Harper versus Aaron Hansford, purely because I think linebacker is a position that we're light on, but you need linebackers that can play on special teams. These two both can. So what's important is who is better than who on special teams, and that will solidify their position.
Who doesn't mean to say we'll still take both of them?
Exactly. But what you could even go even deeper if you want with that question, Paul, is you could say they could keep both, but who's higher on the roster and utilize more?
Yeah.
I remember this time last year, Paul, you were particularly vocal about it. Did we not start the season with 5 linebackers?
We did.
Yeah.
Yep.
For a position, for 3 positions, we had 5 linebackers. So
Yep.
you basically don't have a backup for somebody.
We didn't have necessarily had a backup. We had LVE, Parsons, Jalen Smith, Gifford, and who was the 5th?
I know his name, Francis Bernard.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And Francis Bernard's not even on the roster anymore.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had a great offseason as well last year.
He's making interceptions.
I know.
Yeah.
Taking it to the house and everything. And we were kind of getting excited about that.
So have you noticed, Paul, that ESPN have Gifford as the weak side linebacker starting?
I noticed that. So in case anyone's wondering what our reference is, we're on ESPN.com or .co.uk's website for the roster depth. And they've got Luke Gifford as your weak side linebacker. Then you've got LVE as your middle. And on your strong side, it's Micah Parsons. Then on your second string, it's Hansford, Harper, then Jabril Cox. Then third string, it's Devante Bond, Damon Clark, obviously Bond's an IR, and obviously Damon Clark's actually kind of like still going through like rehab essentially.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, cool. I was having microphone issues then, sorry.
All right, and after that, we've got the new acquisitions and Christian Sam, Malik Jefferson, and we've also got Story Jackson in there as well, and that's our linebacker course. So we've got 3, 6, 9, 11 linebackers right now going into camp,
and you're really going to need 6, possibly even 7.
At this junction, I would like to commend the Cowboys for getting Van Der Esch $3 million cheaper than they could have.
Yeah, a very clever move. Very clever move. But here's the crazy part, right? Here's the crazy thing. We said at the start of the show, Micah Parsons is the most important player other than Dak, right? Yeah. And here's the crazy part is that he's listed on the linebacker, but for me, I don't count because he's not a linebacker, because he's utilized in various ways. I think you have to discount him as a linebacker, that he's more of that defensive playmaker. Do you get what I'm saying? That he's playing a linebacker role, but more of the defense. So, like, I need at minimum 6 linebackers, maybe even 7, because you're the way that you're using Micah Parsons, is in that interdispersal role between position.
Yeah, we're treating Micah Parsons like he's Von Miller.
He's just a linebacker.
Yeah, like we're using like Parsons like a Von Miller, where you can actually go up to the edge and become like that extra edge, essentially.
Yeah,
and also depending what the play is, he actually goes back into coverage. So like. Yeah, I tend to. It's a hard one. I mean, I do tend to think that I think 6 is got to be the minimum.
Minimum.
Yeah,
agree. Because you're going to be having guys like Hansford and Harper. You utilized a lot. Maybe even Gifford. You might use him quite a bit on special teams because you're going to have to because they're that type of player.
A big year for him.
Thought it was interesting Thought it was interesting that we didn't bring Micah Parsons into the defensive end conversation.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing.
I mean, that's what they've got to consider when you have Parsons at D end, which they will do on occasion. I mean, it's. I think that the right hand side isn't accounted for because you've got D-Law who obviously start over there. When you put Parsons out wide, who's filling in? So, like you're saying, they're going to need 6.
Yeah. Minimum. So let's go to the cornerback position. I love this one. I think this is one of my favorite battles of this roster. And for me, it's Jordan Lewis versus Kelvin Joseph.
Oh,
That's a tasty battle to watch.
I mean, as crazy as it sounds, that one might not be up to the Cowboys.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
they both have talent. Jordan Lewis, one of the best.
It'll be more a legal battle than an on-field battle.
Yeah.
We spoke to Kyle and we spoke to Mickey Spagnuolo about this, and both are saying he's in the clear as far as they're concerned. So, they're saying that he's going to be playing. Now, by all accounts, things look fine, but you never know. That legally, by the law, he's fine. But what the NFL decide to bring the hammer down on, you never know.
That's the variable that nobody knows. I mean, we've just found out that has Deshaun Watson got a 4-game? Was it 4-game or 5-game suspension?
Yeah. I think it was 6, and they brought it down to 4.
I mean, Zeke got the same, but he never went to court. So again, you don't know what.
Zeke
didn't even do anything.
Remember when Cowboys staff talk about this kind of stuff, they have to toe the party line. Remember the Cowboys might know certain things that the general public don't know. I would love him to be clear of all this nonsense and to be the 2nd-round pick that I wanted him to be. I thought he was going to step in and make Jordan Lewis or Anthony Brown worried, and look at the season that Anthony Brown had, an absolute stormer. So
I think he proved me and you wrong, especially.
Yeah, he did, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I looked straight at Brown's cap number and I thought, really, was it $5 million? But he turned out to be. I mean, you could argue who was 1 and who was 2, but all the stats seem to point at Brown being the unidentified hero. He was the guy that was targeted, and he was actually coming up with the goods.
Yeah,
he was doing his job.
Yeah, he was a shutdown corner. He was patting passes, deflecting them off. Wasn't getting as many takeaways compared to our Mr. Diggs at all.
Still had a pick 6.
Yeah.
But that just goes to show, though. See, when you start bringing in 2nd and 3rd-round picks, it must elevate your game a little bit. And I think Anthony Brown took notice.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think that the play of Brown and the kind of diamond in the rough in terms of Diggs takes the pressure off the Kelvin Joseph situation. It's almost like, right, we've got this guy for 4 years. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. We're not gonna lose huge money if he ends up cut, but I mean, they're still 2nd and 3rd-round talents. Maybe they didn't show it in the first season, but we certainly have the depth there.
I mean, like, Jordan Lewis is ranked as one of the best slot corners in the NFL. He was. I think, what was it, Paul? Was he ranked 6 when we did it? Or maybe higher than that, 3rd?
He was definitely in the top 10. But here's the thing with Lewis, though. Like, he has moments of pure excellence. Like, he'll have an absolute storm of a game. Then
like that Saints game a couple of years ago.
Right, and the next week, like, it's just like, why? Like, it just has it. I think the main word with Jordan Lewis is consistency. He has no consistency at all. 1 week he's great, next week he's absolutely terrible. Like,
but I think the consistency. Okay, I get where you're going from, but the issue you've got
I say terrible. It's really bad to really say, but what it's not up to par what he was doing the week before. Essentially,
I know what you're saying.
It's just not being consistent.
And like the thing I think is that this camp battle is going to decide between these pair who are playing the slot, because Kelvin Joseph, he came in raw. All right, his snap count from last season showed it. Played a lot on special teams, literally nothing on defense. I think that the big one is we know what 1 and 2 are. That's obvious. They're going to go with that. It's the 3rd. It's the slot / 3rd cornerback. the nickel cornerback, if you like, whichever way you want to call it. That's the battle to watch. And whoever comes up with the most, and you already said the word, Paul, consistency, I think is the one that will come away with that, winning that battle. So they're the two. But here's another good one, right? For the safety position. And then we'll get into the most important position of all that nobody's talking about. So for me, safety position, the battle for me is between Marquise Bell and Israel Mukuamu.
Don't forget, there's two positions in safety. You've got your secondary safety and you've got your...
I know.
Yeah. All right. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, your center field or box safety. Because we know we've got three. We've got three safeties we're going to go with. Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker, and Jaron Curse. And they all have different roles in the safety position. But for me, it's for the next spot, because I think they will carry 4 safeties this year. And it's going to be,
I agree.
Will it be Bell or Mukuamu? That's the question.
Oh, yeah. Marquise Bell, I love Marquise Bell. I think I'm surprised we got him undrafted, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like, I think he will be there to cause up a storm during training camp, and as much as I like Mukuamu's passion to be a Cowboy in that, I think Bell is going to be that guy. I think he's going to take that 4th spot. I really do. Yeah.
I think Bell has. I mean, when we wrote that article about Bell, and Brian did one on the safety position. It's a name that keeps, and every time you bring up, people go, "Have you seen him? Have you seen what he's done? Have you seen?"
It wasn't just that though. It's like every fact, like even during fantasy football mock drafts and stuff like that, the name that kept popping up was Marquise Bell from Florida A&M. Every single like it was like a 7th round pick. Like you know it was going to be a late pick, but you would not expect him to be undrafted.
Yeah, is that on the IDPs?
Yeah,
I'm with you. Because what's funny is, what is weird when you think about it during the off season with training, you hear a lot about Marquise Bell, what he's doing, what he's put together, and then you read through and you go, all right, so what's Israel Mukuamu doing? And it's
this is a really interesting point as well. Mendoza just made here as well. It's like both of them could make it to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Like both on special teams, but Mukuamu can play cornerback.
That was going to be the argument. Yeah, if you don't keep him as safety, he's interchangeable as a cornerback.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good take from Mendoza there. So thanks for the comment, my man.
Yeah, and like then the issue you've got in terms of cornerback position, because you've got to keep Goodwin, right? Because he's your special teamer. But then think about what Mukuamu's playing up against in the cornerback position, because you've got the likes of Nashawn Wright, who's sitting there, and Taylor Stewart, who's trying to break into the squad too. Yeah, so Mukuamu either way is tricky. Go on. Sorry, Greg.
I'm glad you brought this up with Mukuamu, because straight away you start doing your sums, and we've given the Cowboys 5 defensive tackles. We've already said they're going to need 6 linebackers. Yeah. Then you rhyme off Brown, Lewis, Goodwin, Diggs, Joseph, Wright. That's 6 already. So straight away you're talking about 17 players, and then we've already decided we're keeping Curse, Hooker, Wilson. So that's you up to 20. Is there space for Mukuamu?
I know it gets tricky, and I mean we will do
that's before you keep Marquise Bell.
Yeah, exactly. We will do a 53-man roster projection once we get into preseason games. We guess whittle down a little bit. But let's talk about the most important battle on the Cowboys roster, which no one's talking about. And it is the most important when you break it down. It's the kicker position. So there is obviously Garabai and Huralahu. Both kickers.
Well done pronouncing those, by the way.
I try and say it really, really quick, and like you're drunk and you'll get through it quick. But when you stop and you think about it and you look at these kickers, I'll ask you a question. Who has the better kicking record in the NFL? It's a trick question.
None.
Yeah. So, like, we have literally no clue what's going on here right now. We've got to watch camp and decide, because bear in mind they drafted Garabai as an undrafted free agent, came into camp and literally did no kicking. I don't know what that's about. He did some, and I do have a video which I'll share over the weekend of him kicking, and he looks good. But obviously that's under unstressed conditions on a field with nobody in front of him. But we need to see camp to break these pit down because they are not keeping 2 kickers. One of these guys is going to make it. Which one you're going to have to watch?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't think any of these 2 might actually be the actual kicker.
It's the possibility.
There might be a play, like there might be a kicker that.
We always know who they go to, so you don't need to say his name.
Don't. Please don't.
They go to the same kicker whenever they need a kicker. They just go, pick it. Is he available? And
I was going to say Kai Forbath if he's there, because he did a.
That's the guy I'm on about.
Yeah,
it's the player they go to every time. Whenever they need a kicker and there's none, they just go, "Is Kai Forbath available? Yeah, I'll bring him back in. Bring him back in again."
He actually is.
Oh,
he's a free agent.
He's going to be coming in.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad if that was the case, but who knows? It could be Garibay, who knows? But it could be one of those ones where Bones might actually just find out this massive diamond in the rough for special teams, for kicks, for field goals, and
Dan Bailey's a free agent.
Because I mean, like the 2 things you've got to watch, right, is the distance kicks, the distant field goals, the 50-yard field goals. We need to watch that. But what you also need to watch is kickoffs. Which kicker is able to blast it beyond the, out of bounds? Who can kick it out? Who can kick it furthest? Because that's really important. Or who can stick it up in the air the longest?
Yeah.
People just look at kickers and say field goals, and it's like, well, there's kickoffs too. That's quite important. You mess that up, it's all over.
And also, can they tackle?
Yeah. There's a bit of that too. Although I don't like to see my kicker tackling.
Oh no, I'd get absolutely pumped up when I see my kicker make a big, massive play.
Yeah. I just remember
because normally kickers, see when kickers actually hit, they hit.
Oh yeah. They got to throw their body out.
It's like for them, it's like, oh my god, I've got a chance to actually annihilate someone.
I've got to throw my body into this, like the Chris Jones one. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
On the sideline.
That was punters though.
Yeah. Still punter, kicker, but punters generally do tend to be a bit bigger than kickers.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, so there's some camp battles to watch. We'll do a little article tomorrow. It'll go up at some point or over the weekend, and I'll post up the kicker video as well. But that is it for episode 1 of season 4. Next week, when we come back, we'll get a guest in, get things rolling. We'll have some more news. We'll have some updates. We'll be able to give you some more insight to what the players were doing in Oxnard. Get the inside scoop from some people as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was well timed, that.
My microphone just went nuts again. There we go.
Yeah, we know.
Can you hear it when he went doolally?
Yep.
Yeah. Really loud. So, all right then. Let's get into this and we can wrap tonight's show up. So, hit me with it, Paul.
Yep, so guys, if you're planning on going to a Dallas Cowboys game this year, be sure to go to cowboysexperience.com. Stadium tours, game tickets, more. As you can see on the screen, you can see there's Micah Parsons, Jay Novacek, Drew Pearson's there, and there you go. You've got Zach Martin, Travis Frederick, and guys, when you say this, if you go to Cowboys Experience, you'll be treated like absolute royalty. And to take full advantage of that, be sure to use the discount code UK Cowboys, because guys, what do you do if you use the discount code?
You get free stuff.
That's it.
And obviously, there's some folks to go and follow. Make sure you do all of that. Some extra ones we've added on there as well.
Yeah, big shout out to the Cowboys in Canada, Cowboys Can fan. Yeah, big shout out to them. They're making some ruckus. If you haven't seen their video on Instagram of just lay down the smack down the Eagles fans. It is outstanding.
It is funny. It is brilliant. But that is it, folks, for this week's show. So from myself, I'll say good night. And these guys are going to wrap it up, and we'll see you all next week. Have a safe weekend.
Have a good one, guys. Go Cowboys.
Joe, to answer your question, the 27th of July. Cowboys start the camp.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Beautiful. Right.
See you
Stay
next
safe,
time.
folks.